Yeah. So, but
Thanks for
no,
that.
yeah. But no, because we were talking about conduct, I thought it'd be cool to just like start. I have a story too recently about conduct, and I was gonna go
Oh,
really
Sure.
great.
broad, really
Let's do it.
broad. Um, this weekend, my one of my RAs, it was the first time they were on call for a weekend, and I have repeatedly told my staff, "Oh, like nothing really happens in our community. Like you won't have to do many things. Like it's because it's upper division living. Like it's upperclassmen. They're old. They either do the things off campus and come back and go to bed, or they hide it really well. You know. Um,
Why did you tell
well,
them?
because like that's historically like real. Like that's right. Like I in my until this year, not counting this year because we've already had some things pop up, not counting this year, my RAs collectively have only written like 4 instant reports. And I've been here for 4 years now. Or this is my fourth year. So like it
Okay.
does not happen often. Like 4 IRs could be like one week in like a freshman community. And like it's like an entire 3 years of me existing here is what I've experienced. So like I feel like right to tell my staff that like it'll probably be chill, you know. Each year is a new year, you never know, but historically, using context, you know. Well, so there was a party this past weekend, really loud, a lot of alcohol, a lot of people. I think it was 11. Um, and it was funny because I was on call. I got a call from police saying there was a noise complaint in, my building in this room. And I said, "Oh, cool. Thanks for letting me know." And I called my RA and I was like, "Hey, cops are coming, noise complaint. You want to go join them? Figure the situation out." And as I'm on the phone with my RA, the cops roll by and she's like, "Hey, I'm leaving. Stop talking to me." And she hangs up the phone and, like, hey, sorry, and goes to she's great. She did great. Handled the situation well, documented it. But now I have 11 separate conduct meetings I get to have next week with all these people that were involved. So that's pretty cool. So I'm very excited because next week is my meeting week. I like to do so I have 8 RAs, and typically my peers that have 8 RAs like to do 4 1-on-ones in one week and four in the other, and like an A and a B week. I love an on and an off week. So I love putting all of my stuff in one week and then having an off week where I just do my tasks and it's quieter. Um, well, last week was my off week, I should say this week is my off week. Next week is my on week. Regardless, I have I think collectively next week, looking at the entirety of the 40 hours in office or working, I think I have like like 2 hours outside of meetings next week. So
Shoot.
that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. And I was thinking recently, wow, it's Dallas heavy this beginning of the recording. That's pretty cool. And I was thinking recently, I was like, wow, I'm kind of bored. I would love to have more responsibility in what I'm doing, which is awesome that we're talking about balancing multiple responsibilities on the In
Mhm.
Summary podcast. Hello, my name is Dallas Sneeze, and I'm one of your co-hosts, and with me I have
Jesse B.
And Nathan Dozier.
We
and
did it.
yeah, we did. That was pretty good because but yes, I don't know, was I laying in bed the other night? Was I driving? I don't remember. And I was like, wow, I've gone through this roller coaster of, I get here, wow, it's kind of, I need more, and then I get more, and I'm like, I have enough. I should be up here now. I have enough, and then like it goes down, like, wow, I'm comfortable in the more, so can I have more? And then I get more, and I'm like, okay, whoa, chill. I don't need more anymore. Let someone else have these mores. I already have the more, and now I'm here like, I want more. Can I have more? I haven't told Brooks yet. So like, but I will soon. My next one-on-one be like, yo, I'm kind of like looking for, I don't know, more to do. That's why I joined the hall director search committee when it popped up recently. Because I'm just like, I need, and maybe that means it's time for me to go up in the higher education ladder. Um, but mentally, I'm not ready for that yet. I know I could, I'm just not. So like,
Okay.
so I'm just like, what could I do more here? Maybe I start looking at like campus-wide interdepartment like committee stuff rather than just inside my own department. Maybe like connecting with other departments because that'll sound good in an interview eventually down the road. Like, whoa,
Well,
I worked well with partners on campus. But yeah,
I will say for the record, there is never a time that you're going to be ready to go up. Um, it's just not going to happen. I mean, you're never going to feel like you know what you need to know for it. I definitely didn't because I was only a hall director for a year, but that's okay. Um, but no, it's just never gonna line up perfectly where you're like, oh, the world has given me the answer, and I finally found the hole that's exactly me shaped. Now I'm going to slowly slide into it.
I'm just having a difficult time trying to like talk with my cat about the potential move. Like
Yeah,
she's just not about it. When I tell her like, "Hey, this might not be where we live forever," she looks at me, and it's like she understands that portion of what I'm saying. So it's just hard.
she just doesn't understand the implication. She's like, shoot, you're right. We won't live here forever because we'll. Never mind. We already talked about that different podcast.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Hmm.
Have I told you guys my plan for my animals?
No.
Okay.
Do I want to
Well,
know?
well, no. So my cat's name is Noodles. I said no. I said yeah. You probably want to know. It's fun. So my cat's name is Noodles. That's fun. People are like, why food based? It's like, well, every animal pet that my friends or my own family has ever had growing up has always been food based. So I just was like, Noodles sounds fun. Almost named her Muffin. She wasn't like fat enough for that. Okay,
That's true.
so Noodles got that. Not noodle. Some people it's plural. Noodles. I have an S on there. Okay. So I want to get her another cat eventually. So she's bored. I know because the internet's telling me she's playing with her water bowls and knocking them over. And the internet says she's really bored. And I said, well, that's weird because I give her all the attention when I'm around, except right now. Sorry, Noodles. And I play with her sometimes, maybe not every night, but I'm tired. Sorry. Because I balance multiple responsibilities. And so, but no, we'll get into that. But no, so her name's Noodles. I was like, oh, I want to get her another cat at some point. I want to get another cat, but I want to get her a cat. And also it'd be me, but her. So she's a mother, but where's her kids? We don't know, but she's a mother. And so I think it'd be cool to get a kitten for her so she can be a mother, you know. I would name that new kitten company Noodles and Company. Aw, so that's cool. And so when uh, she inevitably passes, we still have company over, kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. Um, what I want to do also is get a dog. I want to get a dog. Um, and I was a little curious about that one, but we'll
I
move
was gonna say, I
on.
thought Jesse was just so like,
Yeah, she was
yeah,
like about it.
yes, I'm not here for it.
No, no, welcome back. No,
Honestly, the
uh,
second you said noodles, you said company, Jesse.
yeah, that's what I was like. Whatever, I'll keep going
Like,
though.
honestly, I'm over it already.
But no, I want to get a dog too, but I don't want to do that until I have like my own house and my own backyard with a fence. Okay, so the
Sure.
dog can like run around and have a good time. And I was like, what should I name the dog? Because the dog's probably gonna be around when I have these other pets too. I think that'd be fun. And I was like, oh, I could name the dog Andrew, and his nickname being and Noodles and Company, and they're all together, and they're all together. Aw, family picture. So,
Wow.
will this ever happen? I don't know, but that's my
It's a great
plan.
dream,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
It reminds me of people who this might sound like it's not a compliment, and you're gonna have to live with that. It reminds me of the people who named their children uh, just the wildest spellings for the sake of it being a different spelling.
Hmm.
Uh, I respect it. It's a grind I respect really hard. Um, if animals could speak, they would resent us.
Yeah.
That's true.
I I won't visit. I'm not gonna call your dog and cats noodles and company. I can't do it. I just can't. That's not who I am.
That's fine. And it's funny 'cause I don't even like I've had Noodles and Company once in my life. I'm not even like a stan. I just know that's a company.
Why? Why?
So like I
It
think
exists.
I had it once on a trip to a student leadership conference. I want to say it was McCurr way back in like 2019. regardless, it was good then. 5 years ago, I had a mac and cheese, like barbecue mac and cheese with some crispy jalapeno chip thingies in there. It was like their Western bowl. Don't know if that's still in the menu. It was good though. Had it in
They change, they change the mac and cheese all the time.
oh, that's unfortunate. I had that in what state? Nebraska? Don't know.
Oh, in Lincoln?
Probably.
Sure.
I would say there's definitely a noodles and company in Lincoln. I'm not sure if
So
there's one in Omaha, but there might be.
Probably. I would guess, yeah.
It looks like there are no noodles and company in Springfield.
yeah, that's fine. I wasn't planning on even going back ever, but because like it was good, but you know when you eat food and you're like it's good, but like not. I don't need. I'm not looking for it again.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, noodles and company. Like I can. It's okay.
I guess you can make your noodles and bring your company.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could put my noodles in a cup. My cat just sitting in a cup. But yeah, so what? How do you guys balance your multiple responsibilities? I have no questions for this podcast.
Oh,
If you're
solid.
curious, I just
Yeah,
thought we
no,
should
that's
talk.
yeah. So I can start. I have lots of responsibilities sometimes and no responsibilities other times, and it's awesome. Um, right now, I don't. I'm not sure if I have a lot going on besides like residential life, obviously, and then there's student government. I guess there's RHA. So I guess those are three things that I do that are like different but similar. The actual biggest part about balancing those is the fact that those are three different groups that work together, but also are at odds because student government's focus is the student, which is good. I like that the main focus of student government is the student because it should be. But sometimes that focus leads to kind of not looking at bigger picture. Um, for example, there was a time, long time ago, student government was like, we need residential life to do blank. From residential life, student government doesn't fund us in any way, shape, or form. So student government can't really just tell residential life to do stuff. We can have a meeting about it. We can come to agreement on something, but student government handles the financial part of every other non-academic side. They handle all the student organizations. They handle a lot of the different like departments and things like that in their budgets, but not us because we're an auxiliary. So there's been a lot of butting heads there. And then there's Residential Hall Association, which is Res Life student government. So they're the ones who get to make those decisions, but our Residential Hall Association is kind of small. So decisions just get made a little slower, less efficiently. And Residential Hall Association wants to collaborate with student government. The student government says you have to be voted in. We're not going to do a vote in for an RHA position. So for student government to get what they want, they have to follow the rules of RHA. For RHA to get what they want, student government has to give way on it, and they just won't. No one will. So we've been at probably a stalemate for 2.5, 3 years,
That's kind of
and it's just gonna stay. Like
Yeah.
no one's gonna do anything until both get different leadership who think about it differently. But from my standpoint, how I balance that responsibility is letting them handle it because I could give them solutions and find something for them, but I don't think anyone would learn anything from it. And I think they would just be like, "Yep, Nathan fixes problems," and I don't fix problems. I can address them, but I don't fix them. So how I balance my responsibilities is by looking at them and prioritizing them. That's it.
In summary,
And in summary, just
oh,
what is it like a 10-minute recording?
I love
That was
beef
great.
though. Yeah, I was gonna say I love
Yeah,
beef.
yeah,
my,
beef's awesome.
one of my favorite like sandwich toppings.
Mm,
Yeah.
Agreed.
a good one.
Jesse, what about you? How do you balance your responsibilities?
You know, I think I'm still figuring that out. It's year 3. Um, I also, Yeah, I don't know. My role is a weird one, especially after the department restructure, because I function in many ways like a mid-level professional would at a different school. Like I have the same kind of like multiple hats, but less people, because we're so small. So I'm trying to think. There's like not. It's not super often that I feel particularly overwhelmed by my responsibilities or like, oh my gosh, this is a huge juggling act. I think so. I'm like a pseudo advisor for the like Bible study student group on campus. So I'm with them a lot, and several of them are also my RAs. And so I think the balancing act comes in dual relationships. How do I say, okay, this is an RA thing, this is a student group thing, we're having a different conversation now. Um, yeah, so I think there's been a lot of situations, especially recently, where students from that group, and I deal a lot with our international students as well. So students from either of those groups will call me and be like, "I need the thing," and I'm like, "You have other people for that. I'm not your person. If you were an RA, or if this was an RA thing, then I would be your person, but I'm not. So go find your person." And that's always hard, right? Because students come to us because they trust us. And I think for me, I never want to do anything that's going to erode that trust, but also um, when they know that you will hold the line, I think sometimes that's good for, most of the time, that's good for relationships with students. Um, because then they know that they're not going to. I run into a lot, students are like, I feel like I'm a burden to you. I don't want to take up more of your time than I should. And I'm like, no, you can't. I won't let you be a burden to me. Like it's not going to happen. I will hold the line. I will say no before that happens. Um, so I think my biggest thing is just staying true to that and saying, nope, this is not a time when I'm going to be what you need. You have other people for this. And and when it is my responsibility, when it is my area, when it is something that I can and should do, then I'll be there. But for now, find your other person.
You reminded me. I actually had a very similar situation because my sister's here now. She's taking
Mm.
classes as a freshman. Um,
Mhm.
the final frontier of the Dozier family, and her boyfriend's here too. And there was one night he just texted me like 8 o'clock. He's like, "Hey, what's this code on my air conditioning mean?" I just didn't respond. And then I got lunch with her like the next week. And she was like, "Yeah, he texted you." And I kind of gave him a little like, "Don't do that." And I was just like, you know what? One, thank you. I appreciate you knowing my boundaries as well as I do. But then he like said something about it later. He's like, "Oh yeah, I shouldn't have texted you that." I'm like, I'm glad that you had the conversation with yourself. So we're good. Like I don't need to say another thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but the same thing of like, I'm not going to let you actually cross boundaries because the second you do, it's completely gone. I'm not here. I'm a complete ghost. But no, I think you made probably the best point ever when it comes to balancing responsibilities of just boundaries. Boundaries are so just essential. And
Mhm.
probably the earlier you can set them, the better. And the most impressive thing that people do is separate their conversations with the exact same people into two different categories. Just to, you are having a work conversation here, outside of work, we're not going to, like, this is all in a bubble and pushed away.
Yep. And it's hard, right? It bleeds over, like, especially when you work with people, because that's something you have in common. And so it's so easy. Like this happens with my coworkers all live in this area. And because it's a small community, like we're together a lot, even outside of work. And we try really hard to not talk about work outside of work, but it's like that is the thing that we are seeing each other do most of the time. And so it's easy, it's relatable. You have to be pretty creative, I feel like, in a lot of situations to find something else to talk about, but it's worth it.
Yeah, we talked about boundaries on a different podcast. If the viewer slash listener wants to get more in depth conversation about that, I want to say it's the one that we were actually in person together. I want to
Yes,
say
I think that was before. That was the one before I came on.
yeah, the pre Jesse era.
Yeah.
We've had several eras actually on this podcast already. We had the Culver Baton era. We had
Oh
the
yes.
we had the post Culver Baton era, which is also the pre Jesse B era.
Hmm.
And now we got the Jesse B era. Yeah, it's
And then we're
pretty
gonna hit a
cool.
new era after next month. I don't know what that era is gonna be, but I assume that something will change once we start doing different
Probably.
committee stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's wild that the conference is in a month from when
Yeah,
we are recording. Because I personally don't feel like it is, but
Hmm.
but maybe I'm crazy.
I don't think you're crazy. I also am like, whoa, that's coming up.
we have three different presentation groups coming from Fort Hayes after we haven't presented in probably 5 years or more.
That's impressive.
Uh, Correction, the time that UMR was digitally, my boss and his supervisor did a presentation. Since then, I don't know how long it's been. Um, I'm not sure if they're even aware that it's a month away. I'm
Well, if
hoping
it
they are more prepared than I am.
well, if they don't want to present and they're trying to give up their spot, I think the podcast could take it.
They won't present. Don't worry.
What do you mean you don't want to present a live podcast, Nathan? Wow, that was weird of you to
No,
say.
no, I
Whoa,
want to present a
that
live
was
podcast.
crazy of you to say.
I want I want them to present also though. I
Yeah,
think
that's real.
it will boost their professional skills.
Good
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
There's a little in post, Nathan in the future, can you just put a little twinkle in my eye? Just like don't worry about it me right now. Worry about it me later.
If I rewatch this and that's not in, I'm gonna be so sad.
I
Me
don't know
too.
how to edit, but I'm gonna figure it out.
You're gonna figure it out.
Oh. But yeah, I think boundaries is really important when it comes to balancing the multiple responsibilities that you have. I think more I like the 2 points of like yeah, personal boundaries, but also like understanding that like because we like to in our roles, I say we as in anyone really in higher ed, I feel like likes to think that they have to do everything
Mhm.
to help the student that is in need in front of them in their office or in a off conversation when they're walking wherever. And like yes, sure. Like I said something in RA training this year that I really appreciate that I said it. I was like, whoa, that's cool, Dallas. Very insightful. And it was something along the lines of you don't need to know all the ins and outs, but you need to know where all the ins and outs are. Like being able to uh defer to resources and push
Yes.
towards other things. Like I had a staff member just recently come to my office and was and really upset with financial aid, like saying like things are happening. They were supposed to get financial aid, but because of the positional compensation, like it's changing on the back end and
Mhm.
it's messing up a lot of things. And they made their decisions moving forward because they thought they were going to get everything, and now the office is saying they're
Mhm.
not, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, yes, very. I understand your frustrations. I too, as an undergrad, did not have a fun time at financial aid, so I can relate heavily on that. And then he kept on going of like, oh, I've tried to talk to everyone in this office, and I need to know who's the boss of like above, who's next. I need to know who to talk to next because I've talked to everyone and they're not helping me. And I was like, yeah. And in the moment, I had no idea how to respond. Like in that conversation when he was in my office, I was like, "Fuck, I don't know what you want. Like, I know what you want. I don't know how to help you though, because that's probably not going to work out for you." But so I did the classical Dallas. Oh, let me do some research and I'll email you with more information. Like let me get back to you. And so they leave the space so I can, you know. But then also, I then reached out to Brooks and I was like, hey, I don't. Who do I? You know the organizational chart of NDSU? Like I can look it up. I don't know how reporting structures are. And so he was able to give me a name. He told me that I could tell my RA that my RA could name drop Brooks to probably to try to get like a meeting with the supervisor of the financial aid office kind of thing. So like it's little things like that that pop up that I'm like, oh, I could have taken the next half hour trying to figure out who was correct, or I just called up Brooks for 5 minutes and knew where to defer and go use my resources and stuff. So I feel like that's how I would balance a lot of things is knowing what's my battle to take and what's not my battle to take. Um, I do my best to personally then on like the personal side of things, like because these jobs can be very draining. You know, they take a lot out of us, a lot. And I feel like I'm glad that the world and society and culture is moving closer towards like mental health is important to take a day off if you need it kind of thing. But I feel like there are some people still in this world and in other worlds that's not like mental health is not a sick day. It's a you come to work and you deal with it day kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that we are moving more towards the earlier thing that I said. Um, but the job's really draining, and I feel like something that I do to balance a lot of things as well is I set time for any situation to like to affect me, and I'll explain what that means.
Mhm.
So like if something pops up and I'm just like, wow, this is so much. Either it's because it's really sad, really shitty, really unfortunate, whatever it is. I'm like, well, I'm only gonna let this affect me for like the next like half hour. And if it's still affecting me like past then maybe there's other things that I need to do to address it. And if it's not, then I'm like, all right, next one, baby. I'm good. And I know
Yeah.
that I know not everyone could do that because not everyone's the same like that. But like I have learned through my time so far going through this world of just like if I am able to drop it and just move on. And if I can't drop it, maybe that's when I need to get other help, other assistance. So
That's fun fact. Maybe you guys know this because you, well, you didn't both go to school for higher ed, did you?
I
I did.
did
Nathan,
I mean masters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you may have heard this concept already, but in my counseling background, like
Oh no.
Oh
I
no,
was
that
that
so
is
ex
actually
Whoa, wait.
frozen.
Pause. You
yeah.
froze.
Yep.
So in your counseling background and then you froze. So
Yep. I
yeah.
stopped there.
Okay, perfect.
In my counseling background, um, we talk about mm, it's not a theory, like a concept in counseling of container work, which is exactly what you're talking about. It's here's my space that I have made to process this, and then when it's over, I put it away. And if I need to bring it back out, I can always do that. But for now, it's put away. And it takes a lot of work for most people to be able to get there. So just so you know, Dallas, that's very healthy that you can do that.
That's pretty cool. If I'm gonna be healthy in one way, it's mentally. Maybe not physically, but I'll be mentally healthy as much as I can, baby. Let's go.
You're doing
Um,
great.
Thank you. Thank you.
when you originally started that sentence, I thought you were just gonna say like, "Yep, I give myself 2 hours. After 2 hours, it can't affect me anymore. It's not allowed." Like, I'm not sure if that's the way.
Not that. That's
When you
not
start,
healthy.
yeah, that's not how. But then when you're talking, I'm like, oh shoot, that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, I don't necessarily do that. I think more of my processing is thing happens. I have discussion about things. If I'm still bothered by things after discussions, then I'm gonna take about 30 minutes to an hour to myself. I'll work on whatever I need to. I'll meditate if I need to. I'll do whatever else I need to, but I'm not gonna go out back into the world and bring the fact that I'm upset to my staff
Mm,
because I just can't. I'm unfortunately just someone who I don't even know the best way to put it. You know the people who are like little energy demons who will just like they'll drain a room when they're in a bad mood.
Oh yeah, my first year. I won't name drop.
It's me. I'm that guy. I do
Oh,
that. If
okay.
I'm in a bad mood, I will drain a room. And I
Okay.
didn't like it didn't really hit me until my first year as a professional. There was just a meeting. It was a Monday meeting, first thing in the morning. I was in already a bad mood about something else. I'm pretty sure I had a death in the family or something. And then on top of it, like the meeting just annoyed me. And I talk a lot during meetings because I'm just a social person. I didn't talk that much during that meeting. Right afterwards, my wife pulls me aside and she says, "Hey, you really made that meeting a downer." I said, "I didn't do anything." She's like, "I know." That's the point. It's because nothing, like you just, everyone could very clearly tell you weren't having it.
Yep.
So it's just like since then, maybe I'm a little too like acutely aware. I'm allowed to be upset. I'm allowed to be in a bad mood. But I try to just not even allude to it when it comes to when everyone's together. In individual conversations, sure, that's better, not amazing, but just as a group, I just let it be where it is. So it's I try not to be. I really do. But I don't know how to help it anymore. I'm too social and caring to to make it so people don't care when I'm upset.
I think that's an aspect of boundaries too, though, right? Like, I think you both have different containers, but that's still a container. Like, you know what you need. You need to take time for yourself, um, and in some ways, I think that's kind. If you know that about yourself, you know people are going to feel the difference, especially as a supervisor. Like, I don't know that that's inauthentic or unhealthy. I think that's just a way to cope.
I feel like I just got counseling and I appreciate that.
Mm.
I want
You're
Jesse to be my counselor. Can we just can right after this, can I set the meeting with you? And then I'll
welcome.
just sit on my I have a couch over here. I'll just I disconnected. No. Everything fell apart.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Maybe. Oh,
Nope.
can you hear any of us?
Are you back now?
Am I back?
Well,
Yeah.
we're back on our end. Are you back on your end?
The world melted. I didn't, uh, I'm connected via cable to internet and I forgot.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's real.
Yeah. I have a couch over there, so I can just angle the camera and we can talk.
Oh my gosh. See, here's the thing. I'm not licensed.
That's
That's
okay.
fine.
In
Nope.
fact, I think I prefer
It's not.
that.
Nope.
Well, it's not
No,
good
it's
on your
just
end, but on Nathan's end, it's good.
yeah, it's just two friends having a conversation.
Nah, yeah, okay. I can be your
Mhm.
friend. I'm just not your
Yeah,
counselor.
that's
Yeah.
okay.
No, that's big real.
Yeah, I mean, you can just be my friend that I talk to while I'm laying on the couch.
That's fine.
Sweet.
All right.
Just
I
don't
think
call it therapy.
no,
I won't.
that's real. Okay, I think we did this in an earlier podcast, but I think it's fun. I want to throw this in the middle because I have another question I want to throw in later because it's came up. But didn't we do like a Dallas holds a random object and you guys try to guess what it is kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yes.
now I think it'd be fun to bring that back. Whoa, so crazy.
Let's do it.
I am currently not in my office. I'm in my apartment. That
Mhm.
might give you a better potential like scope of
Oh, I should put
um
numbers.
maybe a better scope of like what I could be grabbing. But I will grab something off of my desk or the floor because I'm really good at living. Oh, and now I'm also blurry, so give me 1 second. And now I'm back. So I'm gonna grab something. And feel free to just I have it in my hand. What is it?
I'm keeping score.
Okay, cool.
Good, good. Um, a cat toy.
Oh, you already have it?
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
have it in my hand right now.
You said cat toy. Eraser.
Yeah, so it's a cow. It's a little like stressed cow.
I'm closer. The cat can play with that.
I think so. I would agree.
You can erase bad feelings.
Thoughts? Debate? No.
We call it a tie.
I'll give it to Jesse. I think it's closer to a cat toy. I would agree. It's a toy more than it is a
Thank you.
tool.
All right. I grabbed something just now. I have it in my hand.
I'm going for broke. I'm gonna say pencil eraser again.
Interesting.
He said interesting. Paperclip.
Yeah. It is a energy drink. I grabbed it from a trash bag right there. It's Starburst strawberry flavor C4 energy, not a sponsor.
I gave it to Jesse because it's made out of metal. Like a
Okay.
paperclip would be.
Yeah, no, I like
Yeah.
that. Okay. I have something in my hand already again. What is it?
Nathan, what you got?
I guess first last time.
Yeah, get wrecked.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yep, I know the
Um,
rules.
let's see.
And so do I.
Coffee?
Your
Okay.
mouse.
A mouse. See,
Mm,
that would make sense because like I'm at a desk and no, it's a little night guy. Little desk night person. I don't know. I don't know
What's it
what.
made out of?
Um, hard plastic, I think.
yeah, I'm going Nathan won that one.
I'm going technically, but not even by any close margin.
All right, I got another thing in my hand. What's the score at right now?
Jesse 2, Nathan 1.
Okay, Nathan, you got to tie this up so we have a fifth round.
Okay. I'm going to guess a postcard from a different country.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, let's say a picture of your cat.
Picture of my cat. So I have an electronic duster for my keyboard.
Hmm.
um, I don't know how we want to determine.
Where did it come from?
That's the question I was just about to ask.
Mhm.
Are you talking about like where it was
Where
made?
was made?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to find it quick enough to make it make sense.
I can cut it.
I think it's you. I think
I
it probably came from another country.
because I was going for something that was manufactured or something that was made somewhere else,
Yes.
while you were going for a sentimental thing. So I'm gonna say that's tied now.
Sure. I'm
Also, the
not.
last time we did this, we also tied, and our tiebreaker was us two grabbing
Oh,
something off
True.
yeah.
camera, and then you having to guess, and whoever you're closer to wins.
Yeah, okay. Like
So
close
I'm
my
gonna do
eyes.
that now.
Oh, so that's what we're doing? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
My
Yeah.
favorite part. Yeah. Can I open my eyes yet?
Yep.
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna guess a Keurig K cup.
For who?
Oh, I thought I just guessed something and then whoever I'm closer to.
Oh, is
Is
that
that
how it
how?
works?
I feel like that might have been how it worked last time.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I want you to guess for both of us.
Okay, so I think Jesse has a Keurig K cup,
Okay.
and then I'm just gonna go into the same realm as you. Definitely grabbed a tea bag.
Hey, Jesse, you want to reveal first?
Yeah, I have a business card.
Yeah, I was close.
I think Jesse won. I grabbed a kazoo with a trombone
Yo!
slider attachment.
Yo,
That's
that's
incredible.
so cool. You should bring that to conference.
I
You
can,
should.
yeah. I was actually told this year that we have 7 people coming and we have a 7-passenger van. So
Yeah.
I won't be able to bring much extra. So I
Uh,
can't bring my guitar like I did last time. So this might make it.
yes, it definitely should come.
Also, I want to make note that the slider is not in any way attached to the kazoo where it would make a difference. It is only for show.
I love that.
Yeah, that just makes it better, honestly.
It's it's really I value this.
Are you bringing the mixer board podcast stuff that from last time or no?
I'm going to highly attempt to. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right now, it's all attached to a studio, which I haven't used since I set it up. So I need to probably do that before I have to tear it down in a month.
Heck yeah. But no, okay, so I had a thought that came up that I don't know how closely it relates, but it is an interesting topic, so I wanna throw it out there so we can discuss. And I don't know how to shape the questions, so maybe I can just give it the like, situation that happened, and then we can talk about it. So I think this job can be really hard sometimes when it comes to your personal beliefs and values and having to support students that may not agree with your personal beliefs and values. There was a situation that came up recently in another community here, not mine, but another one, where there was an anonymous Title IX report that was submitted to the hall director. They sent an email with anonymous email saying, I just wanted to let you know about this. And it was how there was an alleged report of one of the residents in the community sexually assaulting someone on campus. And other residents are starting to like talk and figure out that this person is getting, accused of this action. And they've been posting things on the accused door of like, you are, insert the words that you think I can probably assume, you know what I'm saying. You are this, you are that. And they're posting things and attacking this person. Okay. And so now it's like we have to, like, because nothing is there, Title IX will be doing their investigation of like the situation. And so now it's like, regardless of whether or not this accused actually did something, there needs to be support, because regardless of what they've done, we shouldn't just be attacking them, for their actions kind of thing publicly like that. And so that can be really difficult with your personal beliefs and values of like, how do I support someone who, if they have done this, how does that like work kind of thing. So since I just thought of the situation, initial thoughts, Jesse, about kind of what that situation is and like how that feels. I don't know, just thoughts.
Yeah. I have seen a couple similar situations on our campus where, and I think this is part of the nature of working in either a small campus or like a siloed community that is kind of self-contained, where rumors spread really easy, especially now that we have like Yik Yak and social media like that. And so there's like, before anything can even be dealt with, we already have this whole fleshed out story that all of the students think is true. And I have been, so I'm a Title IX decision maker for our institution, and I haven't actually been like on any of the cases yet, but I've worked closely enough with the Title IX department and with the students that I've been privy to some like, here's what actually happened, and honestly, more often than not, it is really complicated. There's misunderstanding somewhere, and so we end up, the people that know the details of the situation do end up feeling like, okay, we really have to support this person that everybody thinks is a perpetrator, because that's not always the case, regardless of what it sounds like, regardless of what story the students are spreading, and even in some cases what the perception of the other person is, depending on how our definitions fit and what we know about both sides of the story, like very rarely is it just a situation of like, this person was totally malicious and this person was totally innocent, and like it was just a horrible crime against, that happens absolutely on college campuses, but more often than not, it's a lot more nuanced than that. So I think my approach, and this again is probably related to having like trained in counseling, so much of our jobs, even with conduct and other kinds of situations, roommate mediations, like we have to suspend judgment and say, there's a multi-layered story on every side, and my responsibility is not to judge or to even decide who's right or wrong most of the time. In some cases, like, if we're deciding a conduct case, or if I'm like on a decision making case, we do have to make those decisions. But a lot of the time, it's like, okay, we're here to do what's best for each of the students involved and to protect them as much as we can, because that's our responsibility. We have a responsibility to everyone involved in the situation, whether we think they are like good or bad. So I just recently actually talked to a student who's an EMT in our town, and she had a situation where she had to treat someone who had like was similar situation, and she was just telling me like, yep, I was like, this is my patient, and so with any patient, I'm going to give them the best care possible. And that very much feels the way that we have to be with students in any, regardless of their values, regardless of what they did, like, you right now, you are my student, and so I'm going to give you the best care possible regardless of how I feel. And then, obviously taking time to process, because that's not just we do have feelings and values and emotions that get violated in those situations often. um, and so that's where, at least for me, I'm talking to people about it. I'm talking to my therapist about it, um, and doing a lot of self reflection of where do my values lie, and do I need to get more in line with them as I proceed in the future. That was really long winded. Sorry.
No, no, no. Someone knocked on my door as you were talking after I said earlier in this podcast that there is no situation. Actually, no, it was before we started recording when I said there's no situation where anyone would knock on my door. I forgot that someone scheduled a meeting over podcast. And I told him I would be late to the meeting every time that we had a podcast, but he didn't tell the other people who are here because he's gone. But I don't. I was trying to find as you were talking a specific. I think there's a name for it, but I can't remember now, and it's too late. But people are way more likely to believe the first story they're told, and I don't. I mean, I don't think a lot of people think that that is probably the correct course of action, just because there's any number of reasons that one person would go to you first. It could be to report the thing to make sure it gets reported, and that's reasonable and noble. And then there's people who are wanting to get ahead of getting in trouble. If you meet with the wrong person for conduct first in a large 11-person alcohol case, the first person might say, hey, I wasn't actually like drinking or anything. It's just my room and I was asleep. And then if he tells everyone else, hey, tell him this, then they get away scot free. Which, I mean, we're not trying to get them. That's not the whole point. It's all of it's educational conversations. But when it comes to the first story you're told, it's really hard to reshape that when the whole structure of how you're having conversations is based on the information you're being given and people have motivation to lie. And that's why conduct's challenging. I don't get to do as much conduct, which in some ways it's like, dang, I kind of miss conduct. In other ways, it's like, I'm really glad I don't have to do conduct. That means I really just get more positive conversations with students. But that first story is just way too powerful. And it'd almost be better if everyone gave you a written statement to start and you kind of shuffle them up and then just, okay, this is the story. Now I can have my conversations. But I guess that's what the incident report's for.
That's the idea.
Although the incident report's also the first story you get. And sometimes they don't get the information they need. And then it's a whole different mess of, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, that's all I had to say about it. Just, man, those IRs are important.
Yeah, no, I find no, I agree, because all the conduct from you brought up, I had a case last year, 2 years ago, who knows? I've been here for a little bit, where it was alcohol, and I typically get residents from other buildings because, again, like as I said earlier, my maybe I didn't even say it on the podcast. My community is upper division. I can't remember if that was before or after we started recording. Regardless, my community is upperclassmen. They either just do their things off campus or they hide it. Okay, cool. So I typically get contact from other communities because freshmen learning. And when other hall directors are getting a lot of cases, I get the excess, And so I had a case where there's some alcohol in another community. One of the residents had reached out prior, wanting to meet before everyone else met, and I was like, well, that doesn't work for my schedule, so I'll just, I'll schedule it how it works for my schedule and your schedules. And it just so happened that the person I wanted to meet first is actually the person I was going to meet with last. Okay.
Mm.
So I met with it was 5 people involved. I met with these 4 people first, and they were saying things, and all their stories lined up. And they were saying things like, "Oh, it wasn't me; it was those two." And then those two that were accused were like, "Yes, it was me; it wasn't them," et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, "Oh, this is really easy. You guys are outing yourself. Love that." And they're saying that it was just you. It's matching up. This is great. I'm still gonna have everyone go through the alcohol education because you were all involved in some case, in some way. But at least I'm getting to know who actually did what. Here comes this last person. And then they were like, yeah. So the reason I wanted to meet with you first was because right after they were documented and the RA left, they got us all together. Like the one of the main people got us all together and was like, okay, this is your story, this is your story, this is my story, this is your story, and we're all gonna make sure that in these meetings we stick to the plan. And so all the 4 people stuck to the plan. This last person was like, "Hey, I don't even like these people, and I don't even want to be a part of it. I don't even want to be a part of
Mhm.
this." And I was like, "Oh, well, wonderful."
I respect
Inter-
the hell out of that.
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
awesome.
I was like, "Oh, wow. Talk me through everything that took place then, and then I'll go off of all this information that I have." And so, yeah, it was right where the person at the end that told me that they were just like trying to match stories. The other people eventually came clean. It was like, yeah, we lied to you in the meeting. It's like, oh, perfect. You know what's awesome about that? Consequences are worse now. Thanks for lying to me. Could have just been truthful. What the heck? But no, I've personally found a lot of to circle back. I've personally found a lot of struggle with uh so I in my most recent understanding how to be a person and living as a human,
Mhm.
existing, learning, growth, development. I used to be very like neutral in a lot of things and not really take sides on a lot of things. I think that comes with the privilege that I hold too, just being a white male in
Mhm.
society. I'm able to just not take sides and I can just exist and I'm okay. And so I was able to get through most of my life with just like being middle of the ground, like I don't have to care about most things because I don't need to. Well, as I've started doing this work and started developing, I don't know, empathy, I have started feeling that's pretty cool. And that comes with expressing viewpoints that I have about
Mhm.
certain things. And I've noticed recently me being more upset having to deal with like not to bring politics into it because we're getting close to an election, but like having to deal with someone who has more conservative values kind of thing, it's
Mhm.
been harder for me recently because of I don't know my own growth of figuring out who I am as a person, and so I've been able to I would like to think I think I can be very neutral still. I just call on my past and like okay, let me have this conversation neutrally,
Yeah.
and a lot of people um, and also it just goes with who I am as a person. Because again, like we're all different, and I know just naturally people like talking to me and like me as a person. I just know that's a natural thing that happens, and so I can have conversations with a lot of people, regardless of how I feel about them. I can interact with a lot of people. Um, but I've after those conversations and they leave my office, I'm always just like I hate it sometimes that I have to support the people that regardless or not like if they deserve the support like that's part of the role is having to balance that responsibility of like we are there to support regardless of X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
And so it's just it can be rough sometimes and frustrating. And um I that's why I find it very important for you being the listener and the viewer, you as the person, um to have these outlets for whether it's hobbies that you have or people that you talk to, if it's like professional people or just your friends outside of the world of higher ed, because we get very bubbled And we're like, all of the people that I know are in this world. So again, going back to something you said earlier, Jesse, we all talk about these things because we are all going through that. But I find it really important that whether it's people that you grew up with that you diverted paths and they're in a different profession, you're in this profession, like talking to them through like because you can avalanche and it can grow if you start talking to people who are in this world, even if you're not trying to like it. Yes, I've been rambling. I yield. Feel free, anyone else, to throw in their thoughts. I'm going to stop there.
I'll throw in a thought. When it comes, I mean, we're really veering off topic. That's a fine. um, when it comes to like different belief systems and really supporting people regardless, I think I've gone the exact opposite of you, Dallas. I used to be very, very outspoken and very, very like passionately talking about different political things and also just anything with life. I went exact opposite of. I personally find a lot more inner peace just letting the world do as it does because at the end, even if I influenced every single person in my town, 20,000 people, to view the same way I do, that's such a small sliver of the population. And also, that's impossible. That part of it, I have to put a little stamp on and be like, you know what? Best I can do is have the conversations when they pop up. But I almost am to a point where I don't think anyone's views on a political topic are going to really do anything to me. I don't think it's going to make me view them more positively or negatively, mostly because it's just such a small part of a person. And there have been so many arguments in our office, not in our office, outside of our office, between people in our office. And there's been so many like people saying like, yeah, I really like this person, but then they told me that they're this denomination or they're this person when it comes to their beliefs. Actually, the easiest way I can describe this is one of our RAs was talking about how they started watching Orange is the New Black, and they really liked the main character. I don't know the name, and he said, "I stopped liking her though when she cheated on her husband." It's like, well, it's a character. That's the first thing. So
Start
let's
there.
maybe separate that from a real world thing. But also, like, I don't know if I've had a friend in the same situation. They're still my friends for the reason they're being friends, but there are things about them that maybe don't align with me. And if it doesn't really push into our relationship, it's very, very difficult for me to even use it as a factor. I fully understand, for the record, being frustrated with people and being frustrated with people's beliefs and with people who don't want to do the research or do the like critical thinking of getting to conclusions that make more sense than what they're saying. But I have to personally take a step away from it because I like talking to people too much to cut people out unless they do something that makes me cut them out. And B, man, it's really hard to get someone to believe a different thing. I don't know if it's even possible unless it's someone who you already have such a relationship with that they almost are on your side of the court anyway. And that's where it's like, obviously in the job doesn't have a place anyway. So it's not a big of a deal. Outside of the job with the people who I care about, especially the people who I hang out with outside of work who work with me, we just avoid the conversations because I know that there are two different sides of it that if we even start the conversation, I know that it'll just end with people stop being friends and being honestly probably uncomfortable at work too. So that's where I've kind of gone with it myself.
Okay, I know we're like almost at time, but I also have thoughts. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. It's so interesting because I feel like I'm kind of between your two perspectives. So I grew up, we've talked about this. I grew up Christian, really conservative background, like grew up in a Baptist church. All of the not all of the stereotypes that most people have heard of Christians, but many of them were present in my upbringing. And even before, probably in high school, I started to kind of be like, okay, I want more nuance in this. I want to explore other perspectives. Um, I want to seek what is true and not just what I've been told. And so I regularly try to read and listen to perspectives that are either the opposite of my own or the opposite of what I grew up with. And I think I feel this sense of what you're talking about, Dallas, because like that my own values have been trespassed or kind of stepped on in situations pretty often because I was raised with such a strong sense of morality and ethics and like this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And a lot of that I have retained. It's nuanced in different ways now, but I think one thing that really, does come from my tradition and my background is we don't hold everybody to the same standard. If someone were to come to me and say, yeah, these are my values too, and then I actively see them living in a different way, that's just a question of integrity, regardless of what those values are. Like I'm probably going to call them on that. Like you said this, and then you're living this way. Tell me more about that. Like what's the incongruence here? In fact, I do that a lot with my RAs. But then also just recognizing again what Nathan said, like there's a lot of people that you're not gonna change. They have to want it to. Our job is not to change people, and we can offer a different perspective and hope that they're open to it. I've been working with a DEI coach just because I felt like I needed some more cultural skills with the different students that I work with, and being from the background that I'm from, and existing in a world that's very much not that. I'm reading a book with her right now that's called Digital, Diverse, and Divided. And it's just about interacting with different perspectives, especially in our globalized online world. And just yesterday, I was reading a chapter about how to interact with people who totally, like, not just their perspective is different, but it offends you. And it was talking about recognizing some people are not going to be persuaded. And so you just kind of state your view and you move on. You're like, this, we don't have to have a discussion about this. I'm not going to try to change you, but this is where I'm at. This is where you're at. We can acknowledge this is different. And then talking about there are people who are going to be open to questions and recognizing that maybe my perspective is not the only one that's out there. And so kind of coming at that from two different avenues of like, are they going to be persuaded more by stories or by facts? Do you need to come with statistics? Do you need to come with, well, this happened to this person that I know? And just, being open to table our offense, table the like, you've transgressed my values, and more being willing to say, but what if this is different than you believe it to be? Or what if it's more nuanced? And just kind of offering, here's an open-ended thing to explore. So that's, I think, what I try to do in a lot of these situations where someone comes in, which I run into every day because my background is so different than most of my coworkers. To just kind of offer, and again, not when it's not going to be effective, but when people are open to the conversation. Here's what I think. What do you think about that?
Well said.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. But as you said, I think we are kind of at time. So either of you want to do the lovely.
Yeah, so in summary, make sure that when you're setting up your what was our topic?
Boundaries, multiple responsibilities.
And so we did boundaries. When you're balancing your multiple responsibilities, remember that you're a person. Remember that you are a person who has values, who has responsibilities that may conflict, but they don't have to tear you apart.
Mhm.
So
And
That's
that's
good.
yep, and that's been the In Summary podcast. I hope you guys all have still continued to listen, and we'll do it after this one as well. So we'll catch you next time.